Prosecutors called Chung Moon-hun of the Saenuri Party to the stand on the trail of the leak of 2007 Inter-Korean Summit transcript. The National Archives are analyzing newly uncovered documents revealing the names of many Korean victims of Japanese imperialism. And more of today's fans show their love by making donations of rice and other goods in the name of their favorite stars. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Wednesday, November 20th. I'm Luke Clary. Prosecutors are still on the trail of the leak of a 2007 Inter-Korean Summit transcript. In the latest development, they called Chung Moon-hun of the Saenuri Party to the stand.
Ruling Saenuri Party lawmaker Chung Moon-hun was grilled by prosecutors for over 10 hours after being accused of leaking the minutes of the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit. While leaving the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's office after the investigation on Wednesday, Chung said that he was serving as the Unification Affairs aide in the presidential office. He claimed to have read the original summit transcript but denied revealing the contents to Representative Moo-sung.
국정조사에서 문제 제기를 한 부분이 언론에 나왔고 그 부분이 맞느냐라고 확인을 하셨기 때문에 그 부분이 맞다라고만 말씀을 드린 부분입니다.
He argued that he never mentioned late President Moo-sung using the phrase abandoning the northern limit line during the summit with Kim Jong-il. But he clarified that the North Korean leader called for abandoning the NLL several times in return for creating a peace and cooperation zone in the Yellow Sea, and that President No just responded to these remarks a few times. Prosecutors questioned the lawmaker on how he was able to read the transcript and on what grounds he raised speculations that President No made such statements about the NLL. During a parliamentary audit on the Unification Ministry in October of last year, Chung raised the allegation that No mentioned giving up the maritime border during the 2007 summit.
Electricity charges are due to rise an average 5.4% tomorrow in an effort to prevent power shortages during the winter. It's the fifth spike in prices in 2 years, drawing public backlash.
The monthly electricity charges for urban households will go up about $1.20. That's up 2.7%. The regular electricity charges applied to large buildings and commercial facilities will rise 5.8%, while those applied to industrial sites will surge 6.4%. Electricity charges for educational facilities will remain unchanged. The overall average increase this time is 5.4%. It's the fifth and largest increase in 2 years and 3 months.
과도한 전기 소비로 인한 문제를 근본적으로 해결하기 위해서 전기 에너지와 다른 에너지 간의 가격 구조를 합리화하는 것입니다.
Electricity charges will be raised from June when demand for air conditioning rises. Morning peak hour charges will be applied from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. year-round. Peak hour charges will be increased up to 15 times. Instead, electricity charges will be cut during the other time slots so that businesses can choose when they want to use power. The business community was upset with the government's decision to raise electricity charges because that means higher costs for industrial sites.
연초에도 한번 올리고 또 올렸거든요. 이런 식으로 불확정적으로 계속 올리게 되면 기업들은 경영 계획 수립하기도 어렵고.
Critics say the government is simply handing the consequences of the corruption at nuclear power plants over to the public to make up for the power shortages. The government says it will continue to raise electricity charges in the future to minimize power consumption in the nation.
The National Archives are analyzing newly uncovered documents discovered during the relocation of the Korean embassy in Tokyo. The names of many Korean victims of Japanese colonialism have been revealed for the first time.
This is the newly found register of those who died in the independence movement of March 1st, 1919. 53-year-old Kim Sang-won from Cheonan, South Chungcheong Province was shot dead by the Japanese on March 1st that year while crying out for Korea's independence. The register contains details of 630 victims, including the name, age, address, and even the time, place, and situation of each death.
이 명부는 그동안 국내에서 한 번도 발견된 적이 없는 최초의 피살자 명부라는 점에서 그 의미가 큽니다.
This register lists the name of 290 Koreans that were massacred after the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923. The number was estimated to be around 6,000 to over 20,000. But this is the first time a detailed list has been confirmed. Recorded are the victims' names, their permanent addresses, and details of how they died. In one incident, what's believed to be an entire family of 4 was murdered. Still, another register comprising of 65 books shows that the colonial era had forced some 229,000 victims to do labor. The government will use this data to designate patriots and use the information as materials pertaining to historical evidence. These will all be unveiled to the public early next year.
An international seminar on how to handle North Korea has opened. Participants from China and Japan urged proactive North Korea policies.
Chinese scholars say North Korea should adopt China's market-opening policies and that the international community must also prompt the Stalinist state to follow in China's footsteps.
여러 가지 정책으로 접근해서 보다 개방적인 방향으로 이끌어내는 그게 이제 우리 국제사회가 고민할 그런 부분 아니냐.
Meanwhile, Japanese scholars say they hope the issue of Japanese abductees will be resolved soon. They also say Japan is closely watching the latest changes in the north.
변증로선이라는 슬로건을 이용해서 현재 강국 건설을 중시하기 시작했습니다. 이것은 11년 만에 큰 움직임이라고 생각합니다.
The participants agreed that by involving North Korea in various undertakings carried out by its neighbors, such as the Najin Hasan project, the Stalinist state will be able to abandon its nuclear program and open its doors to the outside world. They also said that North Korea must resolve its nuclear issue by any means in order to improve its economy. South Korean Unification Minister Ryu Gil-jae stressed that it's against logic for North Korea to expect investment from the international community without giving up on its missiles and nukes.
Korean researchers have developed new radar technology. Detecting small objects from as far away as 10 kilometers, they're pushing the limits of state-of-the-art Korean weapons.
The F-35 Eurofighter is known as a Dreamfighter jet. The U.S. sea-based radar SBX-1 can detect ballistic missiles. All these state-of-the-art weapons have high-tech radars. Korean researchers have finally developed a high-power semiconductor chip, the core component of such devices. The new radar was made of gallium nitride and has more than twice the resolution of existing radars. It can detect objects as small as 70 centimeters long, located 10 kilometers away, even in poor weather conditions. The radar's long-distance detection capabilities can reach 180 kilometers.
기존 실리콘이나 갈륨 비소 반도체에 비해 전력 밀도와 전력 변환 효율이 높기 때문에 고출력을 필요로 하는 항공기용, 선박용, 그리고 이동통신 중계기용 전력 증폭기에 많이 활용되어지고 있습니다.
The new radar is also just a tenth the size of existing vacuum tube radars, while the lifespan of its components is 10 times as long.
현재까지는 전량 외국 수입에 의존해 왔습니다. 이번에 순수 국내 기술로 국산화가 됨으로써 막대한 경제적 파급 효과를 불러올 것으로 기대를 하고 있습니다.
The global radar market is expected to reach $83 billion by 2018. With this new development, Korea will be able to save enormous costs.
Many, if not most, school kids own a smartphone anymore. A new study shows that 1 out of 10 Korean teens face addiction to smartphones, a condition even more severe than internet addiction.
You can access the internet with your smartphone at any time, any place. Teenagers these days tinker with their phones even when they're in the company of friends.
페이스북, 카카오 스토리 이런 거 다 해서 게임도 가끔 하고 해서 하루에 한 4-5시간 정도 하는 것 같아요.
Symptoms of addiction usually refer to obsessive behavior, which leads to fewer hours of sleep and less family time. A study has surveyed around 1,000 students from 4th to 12th grade. 1 out of 10 are diagnosed as smartphone addicts. Girls were more addicted than boys, and the older the student, the stronger the addiction. The study also shows that those at risk of growing addicted to smartphones is 2.4 times higher than those at risk of internet addiction. With a low level of life satisfaction, smartphone addicts displayed not only ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but also depression.
강압적이고 통제적인 교육을 하는 것보다는 부모님과 자녀가 친밀한 관계를 유지하면서 지도하는 것이 훨씬 교육적이고 효과적이라는 것이 나타났습니다.
Parents can also study smartphone jargons and applications as part of their efforts to better communicate with their children.
Gotgam, or dried persimmon, is a specialty of Gwangyang, South Jeolla Province. Residents there are busy at work preparing gotgam for next year's Lunar New Year holiday.
The first snow of the season has covered Okbulbong Mountain behind Pegakdong village. Village residents are busy peeling persimmons from early in the morning. Even this old man, who turns 80 next year, is doing his share. He has a knack for picking out the best fruits and peeling them on a machine. A giant persimmon is quickly peeled, exposing its golden flesh.
저희 꽃감은 대봉으로 깎기 때문에 맛이 다른 고장에 비해서 월등히 좋고 또 온도차나 기후차가 이 지방에는 제일 좋기 때문에 어느 지방에서 깎는 꽃감보다 월등히 상품이 좋은 걸로 알고 있습니다.
A neighbor still insists on using smaller persimmons to make gotgam, although they require more care. Women are engaged in a friendly chatter while the gotgam peelers spin loudly.
그 백운산 기술계에서 한 500년 전부터 자생했대요, 이 감이. 그 감을 꺾어다가 접목을 해서 지금 저희들이 재배하고 있거든요.
The peeled persimmons are sent up to the top floor to be dried until the Lunar New Year's holiday next year. Temperatures plunge below 0 degrees at night and climb back up during the day repeatedly. The persimmon harvest is truly over only when the delicious gotgams are all dried and ready to ship.
Today's fans show their love by making donations in the name of their favorite stars. It's become commonplace to see rice donations instead of flowers at the stars' concerts or movie premieres.
This is a production briefing for a TV show starring one of the hottest Hallyu stars. In addition to the star-studded cast, standing wreaths made up of rice grab people's attention. Fan club members from 40 countries around the world donated the rice to express their wish for the show's success. The rice weighed more than a staggering 16 tons. Donations include other goods as well, such as coal, diapers, and baby formulas. These items will be sent to welfare facilities.
ミルクを寄付すれば喜ばれるんではないかと思いました。
Fan clubs are showing how they can help society in various ways. Fans of K-pop group Shinhwa planted over 1,000 trees to make a forest, and 21's fan club planted thousands of mango trees in South Sudan, Africa. Some fan clubs set up scholarship funds or build schools for needy children.
내부적으로 선물 주고받고 만족하고 거기서 끝나는 것이 아니라 사회적 책임성으로까지 확장되면 그 팬 활동을 통해서 자부심도 느낄 수 있고 보람도 느낄 수 있다는 이점이 있습니다.
Some fanatic fans were blasted for their obsessive behaviors toward their favorite stars, but now today's fan clubs are channeling their love and energy to more worthy causes.
Development of digital and optical technologies has made it possible for theaters to breathe new life into old films in a process called remastering. Here we take a look at this theatrical trend. Popular movies from the 1980s and 1990s are making a comeback. A recent trend has classic films returning to theaters. Here's a special opening in a theater in Gangnam, Seoul.
반갑죠, 일단. 반갑고 전설 같은 그런 랜더 영화니까요. 되게 기대 많이 하고 있어요.
The film Christmas in August debuted in 1998. It was a box office smash, selling 400,000 tickets in Seoul alone.
당시 영화들을 극장에서 보시면서 그때의 추억을 되새기면서 많이 즐거워하시는 편입니다. 특히 부모님들을 동반하는 가족 관람객층도 많이 눈에 띄는 편입니다.
Remastering 80s and 90s movies makes it possible to release them to a whole new generation. This is a remastering studio. Remastering refers to the process of making new digital masters of old movies. The master, of course, is the definitive copy of the film.
현재 가용한 기술들을 재적용하여 작업하는 과정을 말합니다. 컴퓨터를 이용하여 디지털 색보정을 한다든지 먼지를 지운다든지 관객들이 보다 선명하고 깨끗한 화질로 다시 감상할 수 있습니다.
An observant eye can easily pick out the effects of remastering old films. It enhances the image quality of old movies, for example, brightening scenes that are too dark. People often go to movies on special occasions. Movie fans are delighted to see their favorite films of the past take another turn in the theater. The French film La Boum, starring actress Sophie Marceau, was a big hit in the 1980s. It has recently made a comeback in theaters. The famous movie Cinema Paradiso reopened in theaters in September. Movie fans will also be treated to Hong Kong films from the 1990s and 2000s in cinemas. Remastered versions of Chungking Express and In the Mood for Love are on the horizon.
요즘에 목걸이라고 해서 과거의 문화 콘텐츠들이 굉장히 많이 주목받고 있는 그런 추세입니다. 그 당시에 젊은 시절을 거쳤던 지금 한 30대, 40대 정도 된 사람들, 그 사람들의 타겟층이라고 할 수 있죠.
The re-release of old films gives people the opportunity to savor their fun, movie-going memories.
Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Have a great day.